right, El Shaddai, that's the way to start the morning devotion on Biashara Tuesday on KUTV Rise Today. I'm always excited to be here on the show. I'm hoping you are as well. Welcome, good morning. Where are you watching the show from? How is your morning kicking off? It's very chilly in Nairobi. It's really cold. I don't know how you're treating this cold season. What are your remedies? Is it uji? Is it cuddles? Is it hot beverages? Hot milk? Just let us know on the SMS lines online as well. We'll be giving that feedback as we go on with the show. But once more, welcome to Biashara Tuesday. This is the show where you get to be updated on matters of the economy, business, the trends politically, and also, of course, what is affecting you wherever you are at in terms of economic levels of income and any other activities that are affecting money flow to your pocket and out of your pocket. So make sure you're giving us information on where you are watching the show from. You're streaming live on YouTube. The link, I'll be tweeting it also on my personal handles at Richard_OKENYE, on KUTV's handles, KUTV Kenya. Please make sure you're checking that live stream. Make sure you're tagging us on social media at Biashara, #Biashara Tuesday, #Rise Today on those handles, as I just said. This morning there's a lot to speak about, and we have a whole show, 3 hours of it, to ensure that you are touching on the most important bits that you need to be aware of as you're setting pace for the rest of the week. Already yesterday, Ojwang Mariam was here on Art and Culture Monday to let you in on the world of art and culture in Kenya, and of course a bit of politics as well in the newspaper review section. We'll be doing the same here this morning with Ojwang Mariam and Fendo, who is coming back again to help us break down the headlines in the papers and the developments since last week on Tuesday. Today is Katiba Day, by the way. Today is Katiba Day. We are celebrating 14 years since the promulgation of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. 14 years ago today, President Mwai Kibaki, the late, signed into or promulgated there in an occasion that was very monumental in Kenya's history, the new Constitution of Kenya, which we still quote to this day, we the people of Kenya. So this day celebrates 14 years since then. A lot of activities are going to happen. There's going to be activities including the celebration of the Constitution, but also outside of that as well. We're trying to cover as much as possible for that for you, but we have something to celebrate and something to think about as you go out there. The freedoms and the rights that you're enjoying on this day are guaranteed by the Constitution of Kenya, so it's important that we continue to fight for that, to ensure that it's upheld in all levels, in public service and also, of course, in our day-to-day lives. Admissions are ongoing in universities across the Republic. Kenyatta University is admitting the first-year students from this day, and also other institutions as well, kicking off this exercise throughout the week. Already students thronging in the gates of Kenyatta University, parents happy to bring their students to school. But of course, the question on the affordability of university education is something that's still in our minds since this discussion started a few weeks back due to that new funding model on the education in university level. A discussion that we had here last week on Tuesday, how affordable or how not affordable is university education really becoming, and what is the solution to this? President William Ruto has done a town hall meeting already to discuss his reasoning behind the new education funding model. Students don't like it, parents don't like it, but the president is insisting that this is the way for us to take care of the most vulnerable, of the most poor in our society. In the meantime, more than 25,000 students have already appealed to that disbursement or to that allocation in the different 5 bands in the education funding model, the new education funding model. University student leaders are threatening to hold strikes in university campuses across the Republic from the September 2nd, when most of them resume their studies. How is the temperature like where you're at? What are the thoughts of the parents and the students who are supposed to continue with education starting this September? They're also waiting for allocation of funding from HELB, the Higher Education Loans Board. Hasn't yet disbursed some of these funds, hasn't yet, of course, allocated to the new first years. Some of them waiting for ID cards, passports to make applications. A lot of chaos happening in that regard in the name of education in the Republic. KUPPET, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, is also conducting currently industrial action against the implementation or the lack of implementation of the collective bargaining agreement of 2021-2025 that is supposed to take care of a host of issues that these teachers are crying. Actually, 10 issues presented to the Teacher Service Commission, just like the 10 commandments that were brought down by Moses from Mount Sinai. So they brought these 10 demands to TSC and are saying unless these are taken care of, industrial action will continue for the rest of the days until the government, of course, heeds to their call. Among the 10 issues is the employment in terms of permanent and pensionable contracts for JSS teachers, 46,000 of them. Other agreements that were not yet met by the government includes the promotion of some of the teachers into other grades, and of course as well the allocation of enough funding towards education that will take care of their medical bills and of course other issues that these teachers are raising. How important is the government taking this issue? The protests have already kicked off from Kakamega to Turkana to Eldoret to Mombasa. Teachers in high school and post-high school level going out to cry or to decry this treatment from the government. Third term is a very critical term in education in this republic, given this is when we sit national examinations across very many levels, including KCSE and others who are post-primary education. So how is it going to affect the education and how education is going to be conducted in the republic in this term? Learning in public schools is in crisis. 1,000 of these teachers are staying away from schools and asking the Ministry of Education does something to remedy this situation. As I said, third term is the final term and very critical in academic year, and certainly it is the worst time for teachers to stage a strike, which KUPPET had already called from last week. NAT has stayed off from this strike, and therefore there's a tussle currently between KUPPET and NAT, and then KUPPET, NAT and TSC. We'll have a look at all of that later when we discuss the developments. I'm sure this is also showing up in the dailies this morning. Yesterday, in the eve to today, Katiba Day, Gen Z-led protests made a return to Nairobi streets. This Gen Z movement, plus many other activists and human rights organizations, totaling more than 50, joined others in the street yesterday, arrested eventually by police officers who showed up to disrupt that strike. But they're saying they will be returning today for the mother of all protest. Yesterday marked 2 months, exactly 2 months, since that parliament invasion in the 25th of June 2024 protest, which are very remarkable right now, etched into the history and the memories of this nation. 2 months later, a lot of issues still being raised by the young people, disappearance of some of them who were there in the protest on the 25th of June, and excessive force by a police officer, an issue which they're saying must be fixed. Once more, another issue showing up in the protests that will likely be happening today is dissolution of parliament. 2 months later, the young people are saying dissolve parliament and let's start afresh. What will be the solution, and what are the activities you're expecting to see today or to witness in major cities across the country? That's something we're also following up and also discussing before it even happens. What is the way forward for the Gen Zs? What is the way forward for the government, given that all, if most, if not all, of the cabinet secretaries who are dropped from that reshuffle or from that dissolving of the CSs are back in different capacities as cabinet secretaries or even still in the office of the president. Issues that have not sat well with the young people of the republic. Something else is happening today. The government is relaunching another project in the name of Raila Amolo Odinga. The government, led by President William Ruto and other heads of state from the East African community, have been invited to see or to witness the launching of that candidature of Raila Amolo Odinga towards the African Union Commission chairmanship. Raila Odinga is seeking the top seat, and this is happening a few years after Kenya's bid in 2017 fell flat when we submitted the name of Amina Mohamed for that position. But unfortunately, Musa, of course, the current chairman of AUC, did win that, and we didn't manage to secure the seat, even after spending 437 million Kenyan shillings in that campaign, which was led by then Deputy President William Ruto. So now President William Ruto is again leading this campaign for Raila Amolo Odinga. Today, they're launching the candidature. They're also launching a team that is going to help him in the campaigning that is supposed to, of course, popularize him across different countries in Africa, and also launching of a website that is taking care of that campaign period. His team is comprised of many experts, some of them who have served in government before, and some are professors, like Professor Makau Mutua, who has been there in some different teams under Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is going against others in this list who are Djibouti's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mohamed Yusuf, Mauritius Foreign Minister, Anil Kumar Singh Gayan, Mauritius' former foreign minister, and also his other counterpart from Madagascar, Richard James Randriamadrado. So he's going against these three: Djibouti's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mauritius' former Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Madagascar's former Minister of Foreign Affairs at the same time. What are the chances of Raila Odinga to win this seat? It's a question that I've thought about for a while. Fendo, luckily, has been following in this journey of Raila Odinga, has done a very special piece before. He's joining me on the newspaper review section later, sitting alongside Ojwang Mariam. We'll discuss this candidature of Raila Odinga, what the activities of today will mean, and of course, all of the others that I have already hinted. Outside of our borders, other things are also happening. Police in Haiti, their relatives and parents are complaining a delay of the salaries and allocation of the monies that were promised to them. But at home, President William Ruto has launched a new class of the National Youth Service, and one more thing, a new thing that is happening with NIS is that they're going to be trained in basic firearm use. Basic firearm use in the hands of NYS officers. How is this a move that President William Ruto has thought through, even as we send out police officers out there? What is the need for us to train NYS officers in firearm using? So this is a question that I'll also be posing here. Is it wise for us to have NYS rookies be trained in firearm uses? That's a question that I'm asking here, and we'll be tackling it with Ojwang Mariam as well. Now, discussions that you should look forward to this morning. One, Guinness World Record that is going to be set, or that Njeri Mbugua is looking to set, in the longest barbecue ever attempted by an individual. Kama umewahi choma nyama na ukachoma ukasikia umechoma sana. Sasa Njeri Mbugua is trying to do this in the longest record held by an individual. Currently, it stands at 80 hours, but Njeri Mbugua is going to do it in 7 days and 7 nights. Longest barbecue ever. What is she going to do? What kind of activities is she preparing for this, and what does this mean for her and for Kenya? We are always trying to celebrate feats which are being achieved by young Kenyans, by Kenyans from all walks of life. We've just recently celebrated our athletes from Olympics and the Paralympics. This is another chance for us to celebrate a move, of course, by Njeri Mbugua. She will be here on Biashara Tuesday. We'll get to learn on all the business of cooking, the business of her work, and what this Guinness World Record is going to look like. Are you invited? Where is it happening? All those details will be showing up here on Biashara Tuesday. But before we get into that, I'm being joined on Zoom by Michael Mutava, who is a research who is a research fellow at the New South Institute in Johannesburg, South Africa. He'll be joining me for another time to discuss his latest, which is a publication that I have been going through from last week when he shared it with me, a very detailed report on migration governance in Kenya specifically. It's titled An Analysis of Migration Governance Frameworks in Kenya. It is a migration governance reform in Africa program. It's a paper, a research that has been done by Michael Mutava, as I said there, published already. We'll be having a look at that, what he has been able to see in terms of insights in developments of migration, cross-border migration, intra-migration, immigration as well. What kind of challenges is the Republic facing in terms of implementing frameworks that are taking care of migration policies? What does this mean in terms of socio-economic benefits for the Republic? How do we balance migration and also domestic development? The President has been very keen on exporting labor. How do we benefit from it, but at the same time also retaining the talent and the brain that we have, and the brains that we have within our republic. So this is a conversation that we are starting with Michael before we get into the others that I told you there. The Guinness World Record by Njeri Mbugua, which is the longest barbecue by an individual, and then later the newspaper review section with the Ojwang Mariam and Fendo. So clearly this show is well prepped and also waiting for you to give us your feedback on what you think on the discussions that you're going to have here. So remember to tweet us, to tag us, and also to comment on the live stream, KUTV Kenya, Richard OKENYE. Anywhere that you see that, use the hashtag Biashara Tuesday, the hashtag Rise Today, and let us know where you are tuning in from. I'll give you a shout out, definitely. And any other person that you want to give a shout out, leave their name there. I will do that. Welcome to the show. Let's have fun. Let's kick it off. I'll be your host all the way to the end. Let's have fun. Welcome once more to Biashara Tuesday. Discussions are happening here this morning. We look at the host of all business information coming out of your world. How is the shilling trading against the dollar? What is Bitcoin price looking like for you this morning? Where can you invest? What stocks are performing well? Half-year reports from different banks are already in. Stanbic, Absa, from Equity. We have information that is relevant for you in terms of where you can place your coin and multiply it in the next half of the year. So tune in for that. Also some information on Starlink. How affordable is it right now? Telcos are panicking. The Green Army along Wayaki Way is also panicking. So there's information for you there in terms of internet connectivity and what Starlink is availing to you. Tune in for that business information here on Biashara Tuesday. But a bit of a conversation that I told you we're having here is Michael Mutava, who is a research fellow with the New South Institute. Michael's recent publication, An Analysis of Migration Governance Frameworks in Kenya, is a report and something that I have read throughout the weekend and from last week. It delves into the complexities of migration into Kenya and out of Kenya, and also offers very valuable insights in terms of how to improve our governance. How can the Kenyan government provide frameworks that are working well in terms of cross-border migrations, also even internally, these migrations happening from the rural to urban and vice versa. So in this interview, we'll discuss the key findings from Michael's research. We explore the challenges which are currently being faced by Kenya's migrants, and also examine any potential solutions that he may have that he found out from his search, from his research and from his study for a more sustainable migration framework. So that's something that you want to wait on as we look at that. This is the traffic update coming to you at this time, but those are the sort of international traffic updates, yeah? Migration from Kenya to other parts of the world, and also from other parts of the world into this republic. It's a study that has a look at these migration trends all the way from colonial times to post-colonial times to the present. How has the change been like during these periods, and what informs the different trends in the different period. So make sure you're sending us your feedback, your questions, anything that you might have relevant for that discussion, which is coming in a short while. But first, let me give you a bit of road information. First of all, NTSA is cautioning motorists. The National Transport and Safety Authority is cautioning motorists ahead of school reopening. School reopening already began over the weekend, 24th of August. A few schools already reported, despite of that strike that is happening, led by the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers. However, that is happening in different schools, and university admissions also currently ongoing. So NTSA's road safety manager here, Samuel Musumba, is urging school transport and public service operators to ensure that their vehicles are in good condition. If you know you're transporting students from Nairobi to other regions, long distance drivers, public service drivers, and also school drivers, ensure that those vehicles are well serviced and they are in good condition. NTSA is informing me of that. Luckily, I also brought in some information of my own that I will give you in terms of how to take care of other road users who are out there in this time. So this is brought to you by Road Safety Awareness Initiative. They do a really good job in giving us this road updates and also safety information when you're using the roads out there. So safe journey back to school, first of all, to all the students. Slow down, watoto wavuke salama. Kama unapita barabara na unaona watoto wanapita, tafadhali allow them, whether it's a zebra crossing or not. Ensure that you allow them to vuka kwanza. So slow down and ensure that those students are using their roads as needed. So wachana na distractions. Eyes on the road, mind on the drive. Avoid distractions, eyes on the road, mind on the drive. Another thing, green light ni safari, green light is a go. Red light ni pause, red light ni utulie. Usikose hiyo memo, right? Green light ni safari, red light ni pause, and ensure that haujakosa hiyo memo. Speed ni balaa, kujiweka safe, fuata limits za barabara. Speeds ni balaa, kujiweka safe, fuata limits za barabara. And lastly, usikubali kubebwa kama mzigo. Usikubali kubebwa kama mzigo. Kila seat mtu mmoja, no excess passengers. Usikubali kubebwa kama mzigo, kila seat mtu mmoja, and also no excess passengers. So if you're a road user today, take care of the children who are going back to school, take care of the students, and we'll be happy to learn how you are doing that. Give us your updates on what is happening in your area. Alternative routes, tuambie kumeshikana. Najua sahizi, because of going back to school, also major traffic is expected in main highways in Nairobi and also other regions. Give us that information. We'll relate to the rest of our audience as we go on with the show. Now, going to take a breather, a sip of water, and then bring on Michael Mutava. He's already joining me. He's live on Zoom, just waiting for us to begin the conversation on his latest research paper, which is already here. I will be sharing bits of it as we go on with the show, and also just quoting parts of it as we discuss frameworks, governance frameworks for migration in Africa, but specifically in Kenya. What is research findings, and what can we do in terms of solution to ensure we have the proper frameworks to govern our migration issues and also any other things that are developing outside of that. So tune in for that. Don't go too far. This show is Biashara Tuesday. All right, Michael is joining me in just a short while on our Zoom. We'll just be fixing a bit of that technical connection between us and him, but he is well on and well ready for that conversation. Just to remind you on what we are about to discuss here with Michael Mutava, it is his latest findings in a report here that he has published, the 5th Migra report. It's an analysis of migration governance frameworks in Kenya, migration governance reform in Africa program. That's a series of reports. They've been doing this in the New South Institute over in South Africa. We have had discussions with them back to back from last year, and I think even from the previous year since the earlier initial reports, and now we are here to have a look at Kenya specifically. This paper of his examines the historical context of migration in Kenya, tracing its evolution from pre-colonial times to the present days. It has analyzed internal migration patterns and what has influenced this, and also had a look at this development as they sprawl outside of our borders. So what are the challenges we are facing in terms of governance frameworks for migration inside of the Republic and outside of the Republic? There's been very many developments. The government very keen on exporting labor, and also other issues such as our Kenyans who are working in the Gulf regions. How are we doing in terms of framework and policy to ensure we are taking care of them and ourselves at the same time? Brain drain, a conversation that happened during the athletics in Olympics, but also happening in our professional spaces. Techies, teachers, doctors, nurses leaving the Republic. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? At what point should we draw the celebration and also taking care of our domestic needs? These are important things to think about when we are shaping our economy, when we are doing our business. So that's why it's relevant for Biashara Tuesday. Don't go far. Once we have that fixed, we'll be right back in a short while.
First time?
Yeah, I'm kind of scared, but I can do this.
Yeah.
Mess with me. Yeah, let's do this, man.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi vuguvugu. Pepo pa ni idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni dunia ni leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Imagine a world where you are empowered to take charge of your health, where you are well informed about the latest advancements in healthcare and understand the policies that impact your well-being. Get ready to take charge of matters your health as we bring you a blend of weekly health features that engage professionals from across various medical fields.
When do you decide as a patient, do I need to go see the doctor? We are at a stage where we are seeing all this manner of chronic illnesses, and we wait until we get a disease, and then is when we go ahead.
From the most mundane to the complexities that perhaps seem overwhelming, we got you covered.
In terms of the factors that might be attributed, there are hereditary factors that means it could be genetic, so that's one factor. But there are other factors as well, like nutritional deficiencies. So some vitamins such as folate have been identified to be a factor in those. So
our mission is to break down intricate health topics into understandable and actionable insights. Join me, Yvonne Kimuma, every Wednesday 9 p.m. on KUTV's News at 9, where your health is our priority. Get ready to embark on a journey into the exciting world of technology as we uncover the latest trends, interview top thought leaders, and dive deep into the world of tech like never before.
Currently, we are facing the challenge in terms of finance. It requires one to move from different counties because we really need a large data set for our model to be more accurate.
In this new and exciting series of the Technovation Show, join me, Yvonne Kimuma, every Monday 8:30 p.m. for a fun and thrilling experience as we explore the cutting-edge developments, meet visionaries driving change.
Somebody who is in the underground mine doesn't know the presence of those gases. So there are a lot of gases involved. There is methane, there is carbon monoxide, and there is also hydrogen sulfide. These gases actually, they are very dangerous and they are very toxic.
And discover the endless possibilities of the tech world.
Ni nguzo na uso wa jamii. Kupanda shuka, akawa tuzo. Ukakamavu wake, ukatii, na kumfanya mwenye bidii. Kwa machozi na makeke, akabaini jinsi ya kuweni. Huyu ni mwanamke ngangari, kwa jinsi alivyo ng'ari-ng'ari. Mimi ni mwanamke mwake. Usikose kutazama kipindi cha mwanamke mwake, nami Caroline Kimwele.
Where we ask the coolest questions in science. Let's go! Is yogurt really just rotten milk? Why do humans need sharks to survive? How did a 12-year-old boy from Africa invent modern vanilla farming? How do you deliver medicine to a chimpanzee? Can poop be useful? How can you save the planet by reducing air pollution? To help us answer these questions, we are inviting some wonderful guests from the world of science. They will enlighten you, make you hungry for knowledge, oxygenate your brain, and make your ideas flow. This is Engine Season 3. Let's go!
Kaunti maarufu kwa kuzalisha maziwa na ukuzaji wa majani chai. Pia, serikali ya kaunti inawahimiza wakulima kukumbatia mitindo mingine ya kilimo kuzidisha mapato.
Kama kuna kikundi moja inafanya biashara ya kuuza kuku, hao pia tumewafadhili kuwafunza jinsi ya kuhandle zile kuku kwa sababu wanaleta kwa wingi.
Haya yote tunakuletea katika Boresha Kilimo, toleo la kaunti ya Bomet.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi vuguvugu, pepo pani idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Ganet Wangeshi watching us from Ruiru. Asante sana for tuning in to the show. I see Edless Mzee wa Chapo Saba also joined the show. Welcome, you've been missing in a while. Asante for tuning in. Siox anatuona kutoka Juja. Remember, you can text me if you have my personal number. Just DM me and watch the show. Ask for the link. I always deliver, as always, here on Biashara Tuesday. So thank you for tuning in. For those who are on the live stream on social media, continue tagging us. It's time for us to have a discussion on migration. Kenya's migration landscape, as I had already hinted earlier, has evolved significantly over the years, from pre-colonial times to what we are experiencing at the moment. To understand the challenges and the opportunities which are presented by this dynamic phenomenon, we are joined by Michael Mutava, a research fellow at the New South Institute in South Africa. Michael's latest publication is an analysis of migration governance frameworks in Kenya, and it provides a very comprehensive analysis of the country. If you can just find, I'm sure he'll tell us where you can find it, so that you can also read into this analysis of the country's migration policies and practices. So in this interview here on Biashara Tuesday, we'll be looking at the key findings from his research and discuss the challenges which are being faced by Kenyan migrants and also the government in implementing some of these frameworks, and also explore potential solutions. Very important for us to know what is the sustainable way in which migration governance frameworks can be implemented. So let me not get ahead of myself. Welcoming back Michael for, I think, the second time on Biashara Tuesday, this time round on our Zoom virtual interview. Welcome. Good morning, Michael, and please reintroduce yourself to our audience today.
Yes, good morning, Richard. My name is Michael Mutava, research fellow at the New South Institute. As you rightly mentioned, this is my second time on the show, and I'm very excited to be here again to share a little bit of the findings about migration governance in Kenya that we recently did.
All right. I was looking at the report, and it's the fifth Migra report. Maybe you can catch us up. What has been happening the past four?
Okay, so if you remember very well, we started with a framing paper that was done by Professor Alan Hush. This was a framing paper, a study of African migration governance reform, which sort of set out the objectives or set out the tempo for what we were going to do. And then we went ahead to do a trends paper, which I actually did a trends and analysis paper for the entire continent, just looking at the trends of African migration. Okay, and then we did two other country case studies. There was a Nigeria case study and a South Africa country case study, and then finally now we're doing the Kenya country case study. Remember, we're still going to do a little bit of EAC, we're going to do ECOWAS, and ostensibly you're going to do AU. So in terms of the objectives of the paper that we're looking at today, I will draw parallels from what happened to Kenya with regards to mobile revolution. All right. So remember, initially we used to have we didn't have financial inclusion. Banking was just reserved for kind of the elite. And then mobile technology, especially fintech, came ahead and just revolutionized everything. With just one swoop, we were able to leapfrog years of lagging behind. Okay, so that is the same thing or the same formula we're applying with our migration study. Ever since we signed the Free Movement Protocol in 2018, that is the AU, the entire continent, there has not been a lot of gains. For example, we only have 4 ratifications, and even those 4 countries are, they're just small countries, if so to speak. So that has been a long time, really. So more than 30 years, not more than 30, but it's heading there. It's a little bit of some time. So we want to look at where can we make some leapfrogs? Where are the gains? Just looking at the continent itself and looking at specific countries and looking at specific subgroups as well. For example, EAC, ECOWAS, SADC. Where are the gains? What have we done right? What can push us forward? And what is probably retarding the process? So that is what we're looking to do with our migration project.
All right, that is great. I've also noted there a few of those, slow developments, including the need to leapfrog. The latest, which is the Africa Free Trade Agreement. Do you think that's a gain at the moment? How would you comment on the progress in that end?
Well, actually, they're making a lot of progress on the trade agreement, a lot of progress. Actually, what is lagging behind is the free movement of people. And then this becomes a little bit of a challenge because there can't be trade without movement of people, because we're not going to be trading in a vacuum. So I can say that there is a lot of progress. In fact, Kenya is in the among the pilot phase of testing the trade agreement. We're part of the countries that are doing a pilot trial. However, there is a lot of stagnation with regards to the free movement protocol. There is some progress here and there, sometimes not formal, what we call variable geometry, but by and large, there is some progress on the free trade area, but there is not a lot of progress on the movement of people. A lot of economies, and especially the bigger economies, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, for a while they were jittery. And if those ones start the movement, then the rest of the African countries are going to pick up very, very quickly. But as it is now, they're still jittery. They have concerns about security and a few other reasons like those.
All right. Your paper here, the research identifies weaknesses in Kenya's current migration governance framework, including the fact that Kenya's policy responses to migration have been reactive and selective. And a good thing also with your research is that it traces the history and the patterns of Kenya's migration from way back in pre-colonial times to present days. So have these migration patterns, historical migration patterns, been the ones that have shaped the current governance framework in Kenya to be this selective, to be this reactive, or how have this informed it?
Well, I must say, first of all, that what we realized with our Kenya study is that we're not doing badly off as a country. Actually, we're a little bit progressive, but we struggle with a few things here, like refugee management and that kind of thing. But I will tell you that the governance approach used by our administrators or even our government really largely reflects the wishes and aspirations of the people. All right. So if you look at even South Africa, their stance on migration tends to really mimic what the people are feeling. So in terms of Kenya, we have a little bit of a liberal approach, and this stems from the people, but also it stems from our history, what we did with our historical evolution. So just to give you a little bit of a bit of a run through our historical evolution, during the pre-colonial period, And also in the colonial and post-colonial period, we experienced a lot of multiculturalism, okay? So we had instances where we had a lot of cultures, indigenous people, and then we have indigenous people, and then we have new people coming on board in the colonial period, and then we still had white people coming in, Indian people, and so on and so forth, until even the post-colonial period. What we see, there is a tolerance of some sort, all right, from all groups of people, even though the individual groups remain ethnocentric. This does not hinder the people from maybe living with each other and tolerating each other. So for a long time, Kenya has been known to be tolerant, and this has of course translated to a society where people are not very worried about migrants, people are not very worried about foreigners, and so on and so forth. Something else that was very important in terms of our history is that in the impending days before we got our, and years as well, around the 60s, 61s, before we got our independence, there was a little bit of a mass exodus of white people, the purveyors of the colonial project. There was a little bit of an exodus as they knew that this thing was a wrap, it was over now. But even as they, as we got to now gain our independence around 63, the founding father, the first president, Jomo Kenyatta, was very clear, even in his victory speech, saying that people shouldn't be worried. They should not go. We are not going to persecute you. We are not going to maybe take your property or your assets, okay? That already set a tone for years to come, that Kenya is a country that loves visitors, that we love migrants. And up to today, you see that we are a country of, we are net positive kind of. A lot of immigrants come here than those who leave. So you can see already from that early stage, we set ourselves up for a lot of visitors, for a lot of people coming from abroad, and there was no a style of administration that is persecuting or vilifying those kind of people. So you can see the history has really shaped us to be open, to be liberal, and to set up even international organizations in Kenya.
Speaking of liberal, I was having a look at a piece just this morning, actually, as I was coming in, and maybe just to share it. It's by Murang'a County Governor Irungu Kang'ata. It's a piece from 1 month ago where he was talking about why Kenya should support Donald Trump. But away from that, something interesting that I picked in this piece is him explaining how Kenya lies when it comes to this geopolitical relationship between Kenya and the US, and how this also influences our governance. So, for example, he mentions that we tend to support the Democratic candidates such as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris more so because of what we think the Democratic Party represents in their migration policies. They're a bit more tolerant to immigrants, and therefore Kenyans feel like our needs to go out there, explore the world, are being taken care of by the Democratic Party as opposed to the the Republican side in the US. Do you think that this also, our geopolitical relationships, political temperatures also do influence greatly our governance framework?
Yes, you cannot, politics is a fight for our life, essentially. So we cannot even look at it in isolation. One of the things that we should appreciate is that migration is a normal process, all right? This is a normal process. You're right to observe that the Democratic Party is pro-migration, but really, whether it's Democratic or Donald Trump in power, the Republicans, it does not matter really. Migration is a normal process. It is always going to occur whether we like it or not. And then where we've reached now with our world, we're global village, we're so much interconnected. Not one part of the world really can exist in isolation. I will tell you what, there is something as they're calling duality of migration, where in one hand you try to embrace the positive aspects of migration, and in the other you'll be shunning it, that kind of. So even if you look at the US, whether it doesn't matter who is the president, but they always have labor shortages. So what do they do about those labor shortages? All right. So you find that no matter how much they try to stop people in the southern border from Mexico, people are always going, actually, even before people find their own means, they are always going to find ways to kind of encourage it informally or without being seen by the public to be encouraging it. But it is necessary because they come to fill up a need. They plug a need in the economy.
Right. Beginning of this year, actually, the government of Kenya declared that it will be visa-free for all countries. But here in your report, you mentioned that this was confusing. Why is that confusing?
Well, I will tell you, before the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, our president went ahead and convinced all people that he was going to roll out a visa-free regime in Kenya, which was fantastic news. And trust to me, by and large, it is something nice. But I will tell you that the confusion comes when you only start isolating African countries. Before 2024, we used to have a plethora of visas, a lot of them. Well, there were a lot, but they were also straightforward. It was clear, you could understand this is what this stands for. You have a little bit of a transit visa here, visitor visa, and so on and so forth, even courtesy visas. I think about 6 classes, all right? Despite those visas, we had other bilateral engagements or arrangements with other countries, okay? So the president said we were going to be visa-free, and that was encouraging. But what did he bring about? He brought something they call an electronic travel authorization. So electronic travel authorization cuts down the waiting period from around about a week now. It was brought down to 72 hours, I believe. And then the price was also slashed from, previously we had visas going from $50 all the way to around $160, like a multi-year visa, up to $160. Now all that was scrapped off, and the visa price, I believe it was brought to the ETA, the electronic travel authorization, it was brought to around $30, which again is a good thing. The problem is, this was applied indiscriminately on all countries of the world, okay? So for countries that were previously now exposed to this $50 and, 1 day, so on, and I mean, not 1 day, but about a week and so on, that is a benefit, all right? And this especially applies to countries outside of the continent. But for African countries, especially those for which Kenya had a visa-free arrangement, bilateral arrangement, like South Africa, actually 21 African countries could access Kenya visa-free. But now you wake up and you tell them that they have to apply for an ETA. Basically, it's a visa by another name. That is a rollback. That is a step backwards, not forward, So we're trying to look at ways in which we're going to enhance movement within the continent. And you see, this is a step backwards. There is a benefit. They could raise more revenue, but there is a big harm in the sense that you're taking us backwards, especially for African migration. And I see why this could make some sense. Seychelles, which is one of the champions of visa-free regimes on the continent, did or noticed a trend that even after opening up their economy for visa-free to African countries, they still get a lot of their tourists from Europe. That means, there's not a lot of pickup from African countries. But you could still make this benefit to Europe or to extracontinental migrants without jeopardizing the access of the country to other African countries. Because also in our report, we're able to show that we receive higher, in terms of the average, higher remittances from rest of Africa. Not higher, but in terms of per person sending. The person that is in rest of Africa region, which is a region that is not Kenya, not East Africa, but part of Africa, sends a little bit of a higher average back home. That also comes out very clearly in our report. So I think the president should reconsider and try to improve access to our African brothers and sisters, even before he extends this grace to other European countries and other people outside of the continent.
Mm-hmm. I can see the reactive and the selective aspect of it when it comes to us responding, including the offering of free visas, but also just a different type of payment that you need to do. Looks very reactive in a bid for the president to, be Pan-Africanist and show himself to the rest of the countries in the continent, and also very selective at the same time, who pays and who doesn't. How would you, if you were to weigh, the state, Kenya's attitude towards internal migration into the country and migration outwards, how would you say this differs?
So you will notice that the government appears to be a little bit more responsive to immigrant issues as opposed to immigrant issues. And we see why this might be the case, because, when you're talking about immigrants, you're talking about your own people, your own citizens. So, for example, you'll see that in 2015, and even a little bit earlier than that, when we started having issues of human rights abuses of Kenyan migrant workers in the Gulf countries, we discovered that the government quickly followed it up with bilateral agreements, which have not worked very well. But the government tried to reach out with bilateral agreements. There were consular efforts, set out to attend to those people out there. In 2015, the government set out a diaspora policy, all right, which was also largely looking into the affairs of migrants abroad. Through the diaspora policy, people were able to vote, by the way, launched in 2015, and people were able to actually vote in diaspora in 2017. I know this because actually, I think, in 2017, I was in South Africa and people were voting in Pretoria, okay? And then, they found ways through which they can channel your investments, easy ways to send money back home, which are actually serious and critical issues that the diaspora community faces. So you can see, and even the people that were moving abroad, the government began training them because of a lot of cries, especially from the Gulf countries. We had the National Training, Institute, authority, that really does train people. They call them pre-departure preparation. So you can see there is a lot of prompt responses towards challenges of immigrants. However, that is not exactly the case. It's not mirrored when you look at the immigrant situations. And when we look at the immigrant, we're referring to people who have come into Kenya in terms of ensuring workplace security, in terms of ensuring that we do not have Kenya being a conduit for human trafficking, for smuggling and such kind of things, that or even creating equal labor opportunities, because the government has a little bit of a bias when it comes to labor opportunities, and prefers not to afford a lot of opportunities to immigrants. Something else, even when they want to do business, getting work permits, getting business licenses, that is a little bit difficult, especially for the refugee class and the asylum seekers. Now that is difficult. Actually, the whole management of refugees and asylum seekers actually needs to be relooked at a little bit to have some efficiency in it. So you can see the government has a little bit of a split between how it treats the immigrants and the immigrants.
All right. I like that you've talked about, that border issue, and Kenya is not new to border issues with our neighbors, whether it's us bringing in refugees from the sides of Somalia or South Sudan, or even now recently we have new immigration or a spike in immigration from the sides of Rwanda and Burundi at the same time. You mentioned in your report that the best way to manage borders is to have cross-border cooperation. It hasn't been very easy for us to try and strike that cooperation, even when we speak of Somalia, after taking AMISOM and involving our forces in that at the same time. We do have issues when it comes to the sea, when it comes to where the lines are drawn. If you talk of Uganda, Migingo Island, and issues of that nature, I think last time when we had an interview here, we did talk of Tanzania as a bit of part there that happened between Samia Suluhu when she was fresh as president. Cross-border cooperation, how does this enhance border security and, our relationships with our neighbors?
Well, that's a very interesting area, Richard, that you touched on, because the giants of Africa, Nigeria, South Africa, and even a little bit to some extent, some parts of, Kenya, the main reason why they don't love opening up their borders to free movement is because of security concerns, all right? Kenya itself, we've borne the brunt of security concerns enough times. In 2013, remember, there was a Westgate attack and then we had, I think around 2015, we had a Garissa attack where we lost close to 150 students, okay? And so that gives a lot of countries jitters in terms of where do we or do we not open up our borders. However, we put it in our paper that cross-border cooperation is the best, and for this reason. First of all, there is something they're now calling that, the borders have become invincible, okay? You can see them, they're everywhere and they're nowhere, okay? It's not the same as back in I don't know, in our independence, when we were strictly manning borders, border patrols, and expending a lot of resources in order to man, let's say, a border. Let's say Donald Trump, the way he decided to construct the wall between the US and South America. Okay, does that really serve as sufficient deterrence? Okay. And by the way, even Kenya tried to build a border wall between Kenya and Somalia, all right? But does that serve as sufficient deterrence? How are people moving? People are going to fly. People are going to bore a hole between those two countries under the wall and something. So is that an effective measure? So this is why we are advocating for new and inventive ways of managing our borders, and we say cross-border is one of those. We look at East Africa, we have the one border stop policy, in which case the two countries kind of share a register, they come together and they're able to cooperate, they share information. Sharing information is a very, very big way of trying to do border management, because one of your partners is going to be looking at the register maybe in one side, and the other person looks at it on the other side, and then is able to compare, and they're able to weed out any undocumented migrants that are between them, or any, let's say, illegal migrants again between them. But the best example that I can give of cross-border cooperation is this. When I talk of new borders, before around 2020, there was a relationship between Kenya and South Africa, okay? So Kenya had extended the grace to South Africa for visa-free travel, but South Africa did not. And the main reason why South Africa did not is because a lot of undocumented migrants were coming in from Ethiopia and Somalia, and passing through Kenya, going to South Africa, and therefore South Africa felt that it was going to have an influx on undocumented migrants in their country. So what did they do? They decided to get into an agreement that South Africa could repatriate undocumented migrants that came through Kenya back to Kenya, and at the cost of Kenya. That is a cross-border arrangement, because essentially what it does is the South African border stops being in Johannesburg, but the South African border then becomes in Nairobi, because the first place of screening is in Nairobi. The government is not going to allow itself to have a lot of people, illegal, undocumented migrants flowing through JKIA, because then they're going to first of all start manning it at that point. So that is very important, that countries, and this is exactly what happens in Europe, countries are able to come into an arrangement of sharing information and therefore oversee the movement of people, but the management is at an overarching angle, like an umbrella, a big oversight institution that maybe is supranational, that can then now define for us our boundaries really properly.
Right. I like it. I like the recommendations as well at the very tail end of it. This year, actually, in November, just to inform our audience, that Kenya is offering an estimated 700,000 refugees in Kenya with a special type of identification to enable them to move around, do business or some type of work, or even go to schools like the locals. It's called Shirika Plan, which is going to cost $1 billion to run and upgrade the Kakuma and Dadaab refugee camps in Garissa County, both of which will be turned into formal municipalities. Maybe just to comment on that one, Michael, my other question was going to be, which you've already tackled in your previous submission, which was to how then, the best ways in which we can handle refugees and the case of refugees in Kenya. Is this one of those ways that you could, thumbs up?
Yes. So I will say again, Kenya is not doing too badly compared to other countries. I think the Kenyan case should be looked at really widely, even on the continent, for some other countries to pick some lessons from there. What you're talking about, helping refugees, is actually the way forward. Okay, so when we say that the refugee crisis or problem is a protracted issue, okay, but people tend to think that it is transient. They think that it is temporary, and that was the thinking of a lot of the framers of the Refugee Act that normally insist on encampment, that refugees should be put in camps, Kakuma and Dadaab, and so on and so forth. So I think they thought that we can just hold them here, and then the crisis ends in their countries and we send them back. But that hasn't been the case. Everywhere around the world, kind of, those refugees tend, you interrupt their lives for such a long time. It's not even easy to integrate back in their native societies. So what is the new thinking in terms with regards to refugee management? That we are moving from sort of aid to integration. So the idea is to just integrate them in our societies. Just look at ways in which they can also gain skills and not be reliant on aid all the time. So we're looking at the usefulness of the civil societies in this particular instance, the usefulness of private organizations that come in and begin now to empower, like Equity Bank. Okay, Equity Bank extends loans. Why? Because you want them to sort of carry on with life. Safaricom also good. They did, they have some interventions with regards to providing digital products, internet and schooling products to refugee communities, because the idea is to ensure that these communities get empowered and integrated into communities, because they have a part and role to play. Matter of fact, if we look a little bit at the political economy of refugees in Kenya, and we touch a little bit on it on the paper, you will see that in the counties where those camps exist, they actually do businesses. They contribute a little bit to the nation building in our country. So that is the new direction, that we need to integrate and empower refugees so that they just carry on with their lives, as opposed to just putting them there to be dependent on aid forever. That is the old thinking. And by the way, Kenya is part of a new thinking is part of the Global Compact for Migration. It's a champion, and those are the virtues and values that are being espoused in that new thinking, that we want to integrate, we don't want to just offer aid.
All right, want to integrate and not just offer. That's a new, a new world, and of course it has to change given the trends and the patterns since pre-colonial times. We've mentioned some of those shifting, some of those shifting reasons which are leading to that shift in migration policies, from geopolitical factors to the current digital migration, as well as we've had there borders somehow are there and kind of not there. Michael, we have less than 3 minutes here. I'm sorry, there's so much I wanted us to talk on. I have more questions here prepared, but just to maybe leave it in suspense, so that whoever else wants to get into the details can find this report, and you let us know of where they can find it. But as you close it up there, I had a question which I think you must handle while you're also doing your closing remarks, which is Kenya is very focused, or the government of Kenya, led by President William Ruto, is very focused on labor export. It's been in his speeches, whether he's in Kenya or whether he's in forums internationally, he's very keen on exporting us to other republics. How can we balance this labor export and at the same time also ensure domestic job creation? Is this something that you did figure out in your in your journey in this research, and also any other complexities of migration governance in Kenya that you'd like us to be aware of? We have just 2 minutes.
Okay, so the government is definitely trying to export us at a very high rate, okay? But you will also realize that in our report we show that a lot of diaspora communities, when the central bank did a survey and they asked, IOM, not central bank, the IOM did a survey, and 89% of Kenyan respondents abroad actually suggested that they wanted to come back home, or at some point, at a future date, they were going to return back home. This then questions the authenticity of government's attempt to just try and ship us abroad. There are people who want to basically make it at home. That is what I'm trying to say. And the better approach here, I would think, is maybe empowering us to do digital jobs, which you can still work from home, but do not directly, expressly try to ship people away, because as a government, your work really is to create jobs at home. Whether people go out or not, it should be on their own volition. Previously, you and I have talked about migration agency. So you're taking the agency away here, and that is why that program may not work very well. And they're already saying that there are calls for nurses in the UK, calls for other jobs abroad, but people are not applying because this needs to be a personal. It shouldn't be like a program of shipping people out. We want to make it here at home. Yes.
All right. Where can we find this report, Michael?
Well, this report can be found in the website of New South Institute, also on their LinkedIn, and also the website. Especially the website.
All right.
The New South in Joburg.
All right. I'll be informing them of more of that. Thank you very much, Michael, for that conversation.
Thank you for hosting me.
All right. Biashara Tuesday is going to take a short break. That was an intense, detailed conversation with Michael Mutava. He is a research fellow at the New South Institute. Thank you very much to Michael for creating time and joining us on our live stream there on Zoom. We will be also discussing this in detail later in the newspaper review section with Onjoang Mariam. Tutangalia what this presents for us. There are questions to be answered still in terms of our migration governance framework. Concerns about the policies that the government is using in exporting labor and in keeping labor, treatment of immigrants, treatment of immigrants, passports, are they coming out? Are you ready for those jobs if no passports are coming out? All of this are still shaping the governance framework in terms of migration. So we are very thankful to the New South Institute for always choosing us to discuss in detail their reports, and we're hoping they'll be back again, of course, with more as they continue with their Migra report. I'll let you know of the website to visit, but I take a short break, a cup of water, hot coffee, and then I'll be back with more. Don't go too far.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
first time?
Yeah, I'm kind of scared, but I can do this.
Yeah.
Mess with me. Yeah, let's do this, man.
Ni nguzo na uso wa jamii. Kupanda shuka, akawa tuzo. Ukakamavu wake, ukatii, na kumfanya mwenye bidii. Kwa machozi na makeke, akabaini jinsi ya kuweni. Huyu ni mwanamke ngangari, kwa jinsi alivyo ng'ari-ng'ari. Mimi ni mwanamke mwake. Usikose kutazama kipindi cha mwanamke mwake, nami Caroline Kimwele.
I'm Associate Professor in the Institute of Philosophy of OKENYE University in Krakow, Poland, and I'm the main coordinator of the Cafe project, which is being here hosted by Kenyatta University.
My name is Eva Hudoba. I am a project manager in this consortium. Keep watching cutting-edge research at Kenyatta University Television.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi vuguvugu, pepo pani idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni dunia ni leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za tarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi. Ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani, swahibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa KUTV, nahodha mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalonukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
Kaunti maarufu kwa kuzalisha maziwa na ukuzaji wa majani chai. Pia serikali ya kaunti inawahimiza wakulima kukumbatia mitindo mingine ya kilimo kuzidisha mapato.
Kama kuna kikundi moja inafanya biashara ya kuuza kuku, hao pia tumewafadhili kuwafunza jinsi ya kuhandle zile kuku kwa sababu wanaleta kwa wingi.
Haya yote tunakuletea katika Boresha Kilimo, toleo la kaunti ya Bomet.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa.
They are powerful and influential. They make decisions in politics, education, finance, agriculture, health, sports, and all aspects of human life. But the impact of their decisions falls on you, the common citizen. KUTV Primetime News Thursday. We ask bold questions and pursue answers to the core to bring you closer to the story. We couldn't have it any other way. Join me, Auma Evans, as I raise matters of social concern to raise your voice from the background to the foreground.
First time?
Yeah, I'm kind of scared, but I can do this. Mess with me. Yeah, let's do this, man.
Seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the floods, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. The amount of people and livestock we're losing.
Is a level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake these solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you find that it serves us a bit more than you put in. And that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found, because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
Fashionistas, get ready to level up your style with Tune in to Fashion Diaries every Monday at 8 p.m. with me, Ashley Asad. From Kia Hill to Slate Suits, we've got the trends that will make you shine. Don't be left out. Join us for a fashion-filled adventure.
Atoka ile mtenye Maslay Queen utembea na bisi ndo nikawa tamada vijana.
Kajiona mdeadly kushinda waganga wote wa Kitui. Hakujua hii kitu hii. Ni tricky.
Imekuwa chai. Ite kitu kidogo just to get in between my thighs at I love you.
Are you healthy, or rather, do you maintain a healthy lifestyle? According to WHO, health is regarded as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Welcome to Focus on Health, a show on all matters health, wellness, and lifestyle. On this show, we cover a wide variety of topics, inclusive of, but not limited to, dental, optical, mental, reproductive health, and so much more. Join me, Joy Bofenda, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on KUTV for compelling insights and discussions on all matters health. See you then.
Focus on Health, your weekly dose of health and wealth information on KUTV.
Shuka akawa tuzo, ukakamavu wake, ukatii na kumfanya mwenye bidii. Kwa machozi na makeke, akabaini jinsi ya kuweni. Huyu ni mwanamke ngangari, kwa jinsi alivyo ng'ari-ng'ari. Mimi ni mwanamke mwake. Usikose kutazama kipindi cha mwanamke mwake, nami Caroline Kimweli.
Biashara Tuesday is live on air. Thank you for keeping it here. It is 8:53 in the morning. It means we still have a whole hour plus to discuss much more. So we are starting with the newspaper review section here. But later, remember, that conversation on the Guinness World Record attempt by Njeri Mbugua is coming to you. The longest barbecue by an individual. 7 days and 7 nights. Anakula aje, analala aje, anafanya mambo ingine aje. Those questions, keep them coming. We'll be tackling them later. Sahizi, I just have to shout out a few people who have tuned into the show. On Point Media KE, wamesema tu perfect. I think that's a reaction to the conversation and we had with Michael. I see also Anfani Onamu anatuona all the way from Waiyaki Way. Waiyaki Way wapi? Ni refu sana. Tuambie exactly what point. Waiyaki Way kuna Westlands na kuna Kikuyu. So wapi exactly kwa hiyo route. Right, so let's get into the papers. The Standard, man of the moment, a picture of Raila Amolo Odinga, half page here, splashed in front of the dailies. President William Ruto today expected to officially launch Raila Odinga's AUC bid, not launch Raila Odinga at State House, with at least 4 African presidents expected to attend. All EAC presidents have been invited and 4 are confirmed to attend or more, depending on how they wake up today. This is going to be a very significant milestone, not only for Raila Odinga, but for Kenya, as we are returning for our second bid at the top seat of the African Union Commission. What are the chances like for Raila Amolo Odinga? That's a question we have. But hapo chini ya Standard, there is a picture of students going back to school, anxiety as learners are trooping back to school, even as the Daily Nation is showing us an image of the protests or the strikes that teachers have staged against the CBA of 2021-2025 or against the lack of implementation of that CBA and a host of other issues. There are 10 of them. Just like the 10 commandments, teachers have 10 demands they want TSC to have a look at. Will it look at it, given that NAT is not on the side of KUPPET and TSC is saying they've done their best? The Ministry of Education is saying it doesn't have enough money. There's a new education. There's a lot to speak about there when it comes to education. That's the Standard. I have the Star. Ruto Raila deal to hasten the law review. And this is also coming as a development of that new broad-based government. The Business Daily. Motorists overpay 16 billion in fuel deal with Gulf farms. In that G2G deal, which I said here on this show when it started, that we'll be waiting on the day we speak of the scandals that will arise of it, but it was in Endelea. G2G. Is it government to government? Is it What does G stand for in OG? Let me know. Let me welcome the gentleman here on the show. I'll have to get into the details immediately. From my far left is Ojwang Mariam. Karibu kwenye show.
Asante sana, nashukuru. I'm charged up.
Yeah.
Today is Katiba Day.
Yes, Constitution of Kenya 2010 Day.
Imagine celebrating your birthday at a time when everyone is on your neck. Everyone is butchering you. Yani kila mtu anakata kanyama kadogo. Kenyans are crying out loud saying that even the president is not following the constitution. But it's your birthday, it's Katiba Day. You are living at a time when others are saying no. Yani mayouths wanakupigania wamekufa huko kwa barabara all the way kutoka 25th June because of you. Katiba, that's how much we love that Katiba.
Yes.
As an active citizen of this country, I'm grateful to celebrate this unique Katiba Day because it's very unique. Ni birthday yenye inakuja time kila mtu anamnyonga.
Yes, 14th birthday.
Yeah. Lakini vijana wako hapa hivi. So it's 14 years of sisi kusoma na kuelewa katiba and 2 years of a new government kulewa na hiyo katiba.
Wow. Kulewa na hiyo katiba. 14 years of kuelewa hiyo katiba na kuna wale hawaelewi. So today is 14th birthday for the Constitution of Kenya. Can we start by then saying shame on the editors for not having it on the front of the dailies? I don't see it. No paper.
Nashanga who we are giving the headline of the day.
There's not even a mention in any of the stories hapa, hata hizo sub stories. Hakuna hata editor mmoja ameongelea the Constitution of Kenya turning 14 today.
They are telling us about man of the moment. How many times have we seen this headline here, Standard, man of the moment? Hiyo tu, and this particular photo. Yes. You remember the other day tulikuwa tunaambia watu that we are going back to Pentagon. Leo magazeti yanaongelea the same. So that is not news because us, we released that to public domain.
Yes, it's in the public domain. This is information that has been there.
Yes.
It's the public domain, aka with Ojwang Mariam. When you hear public domain, just know Ojwang akona hiyo information. Sindio? Fendo, karibu kwenye show.
Asante sana.
Unasikiaje?
Nasikia fiti. And I really feel proud and happy to be here on this constitutional celebration day.
Yes.
It's a really great honor to be here, and as you've said, that the greatest tragedy that today's newspapers, they have not taken the initiative to put something concerning the Constitution Day, and all they're doing is just politics. In media, what they're doing, they're setting an agenda for a certain person who is revolving around Raila Amolo Odinga's and politics. So it's politics day in, day out. And the greatest winners for this 2010 Constitution are the media, where we have the Bill of Rights. That's chapter 4, I think chapter 4, which gives freedom of expression and a lot of freedoms there, right to information, a lot of things that also gives freedom to demonstrate. Something that has really protected Kenyans, even when the government is using military ammunition, everything. The Constitution of Kenya has been there to protect Kenyans. Though there is a constitution without constitutionalism in Kenya, but really the constitution its side has really stood out strong, but the implementation side has always been a problem from these politicians who more or less they have not been following. But if we could be following this constitution, I think right now we could be a first world country. We could be learning after some African countries, provided we follow it. Due to this also Constitution Day, even in Kenya we are now in a situation, even the Chief Justice is also crying for justice. And she has the powers. She's the Chief Justice, also crying for justice. And we are wondering, as Kenyans, what's happening? Are we not following the Constitution? Is she not leading us through, or is she also believing or insinuating that we're not following the Constitution?
Yes, as the president of the that justice system as a whole, of course, she definitely should be on top of things. And I like what you said there. There's a constitution, but there's not constitutionalism in this country. It's a very sad thing to say. 14 years after the promulgation of a constitution that was supposed to be helping us out in those fundamental rights, freedoms, and the benefits that will have, as you said, led us to a first world country already. Sisi wale ambao tunajaribu kuwa kama Singapore, tunafaa kuwa tushafika na hii constitution. So just to clear it out, so tumeshasema no editor is going to get credit today for any headline, or at least from my end.
Hatujasema hivyo, ndo mimi nilikuwa nangoja
Fendo amalize ndo ingie.
Fendo amalize na headlines ndo tuzipitie zote.
Sawa.
Then we get to to decide.
Even within
either way we must have a winning headline.
Yeah, even within the blind we have a mono eye. So tuseme sio winning, tutachagua tu mono eye. King.
But tuwaambie the editors wa magazeti leo yote, the Standard, the Daily Nation, they have failed this.
Ndio maana nakumbusha hapa na producer kwamba si lazima mtu win. Pia wanaweza kuwa wamelose wote. So let me read the first article of the Constitution of Kenya so that we get that out of the way, since they couldn't. I think the headline of the day for me would have been "We the People," and that's it. That should have been the headline. That should have been the headline for the day which we are celebrating. For
kama wanataka picha na hawana, then wangechukua picha ya 2010.
Yes.
Kama hawana,
ikiinuliwa hivi,
wangechukua picha
ama wachukue screenshot ya front page ya Constitution.
Because I think kutoka that time, that's the only time we've seen katiba ikiwa celebrated vizuri. We saw in 2022 ilikuwa ni sword. Kwa hiyo nini ndo iliinuliwa fiti, ndo ilionekana. Yet you are being sworn in to protect this constitution. The Standard wanaongea kuhusu man of the moment, wakisema that Raila Odinga is a champion of democracy, is a champion of constitution. It's that constitution's birthday. Hiyo ndo inafaa kuwa hapa hivi. But the sad thing, baby, before tutoke hapo hivyo, the Standard wanaongea kuhusu the man of the moment online. That is not what Kenyans feel. It's time Kenyans become bold and honest. So Cyprian Nyakundi ran a poll, and the question was, who is your preferred candidate for the AU chairmanship bid? It's the same thing they are launching today, launching Raila Odinga, Raila for AUC. Now 75% of Kenyans who ran this poll, ilikuwa na 44,700 people who voted. 75% of those 44,000 said they will vote, or they would vote for Mahmoud Ali Yusuf. 25% said the enigma, Baba wa Taifa, former prime minister, the man of the moment will get 25% of those votes. People have lost confidence in what we call mediocrity. Ni sawa umekuwa ukipigania katiba, but at the last time watu wanaenda kushinda, umeshapata hadi group ya Gen Zs and millennials, people who have gone to school, well learned since 2 or 3, alafu na wafanyia hivyo.
Kweli.
Hakuna mahali yeye mwenyewe Raila Odinga aliwahi fikisha maandamano State House. Wachana na parliament, State House. Hata afikagi hiyo barabara. Anafikaga UN anasema, uko tunaachiaga kina Babu Owino na vijana. Inakataa. But this time round, people went to that parliament and said, we don't need this parliament if it's not serving us. It should be protecting this constitution. Ameshindwa kufanya hivyo. Na saizi unasikia vile wa Kenya anasema, nyinyi mchagueni ni wa Afrika.
Wanataka anguke. We'll get to see if those sentiments are echoed across the other African nations, because what he really needs are votes from other heads of states as well. Tutasikia Fendo anasemaje hapo. I want him to come in immediately after I read this first part. Constitution of Kenya, Chapter 1, Article 1:1. Sovereignty of the people and supremacy of this constitution. All sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with this constitution. The people may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representative. Sovereign power under this constitution is delegated to the following state organs: Parliament, National Executive, Judiciary, sovereign power of the people, the national level, and the country and the county level. So that's the 1:1 of the constitution. So sovereignty of the people is first before supremacy of the constitution. One is sovereignty of the people, and then supremacy of the constitution, and then defense of the constitution. 14 years later, today is the 14th year of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. How are we doing so far? Let me know your sentiments out there. But let's get into the Standard now, into what the editors have prioritized. Man of the moment. Fendo, you've been following through in the candidature journey of Raila Odinga to the AUC. Saizi is going against 3 who are ministers of foreign affairs in their respective countries, or former ministers of foreign affairs. In terms of popularity and in our trying to endear other African nations, Ojwang amesema internally mambo kama at this point haijakuwa imefika mahali si mzuri kwa Raila Odinga, given the recent protest and where he stands, broad-based government, his comments and whatnot. Is he a man of the moment, Africa-wide, apart from this?
Africa-wide, I think, is not a man of the moment. As time goes by, people believed in him, but as time goes by, it's really losing the, you know, credibility, even from your own people. You know, even the Gen Zs, the youth in your country, they are losing faith on you. And the poll conducted by Cyprian Nyakunda, and I really like to recognize and honor Cyprian Nyakunda. He's been really doing a lot in the media and even doing some poll analysis. And it has clearly shown that at home, Raila Amolo Odinga is not believed, is not trusted by a faction, mostly the Gen Zs. And they have voted unanimously to show that they don't believe in his leadership. And these people, they are able to see it. One tool that the youth have is the brains and the technology skills. And I want to say to you that these Gen Zs can influence Raila Amolo Odinga to lose, and is not a man of the moment if he's not accepted by their children, or rather grandchildren. Why am I saying this? When time is going to come and the Gen Zs have decided they are going to play a critical part in politics, whether it is internal, national level, African, or even in the world politics. And I want to say that the Gen Zs have shown support for the Djibouti candidate that has been funded there. And we will not be surprised when time comes, because the elections are going to happen next year, January.
Yeah.
Around December, the Gen Zs are also going to mobilize their resources and occupy all those presidents who are going to be expected to vote, and tell them, don't vote for this guy.
Yeah.
He's been a sellout. He's been, you know, orchestrating anarchy. He's been leading demonstrations, and we don't feel he should be there. And we recommend the Djibouti. This is something that's going to happen. Okay. Why am I saying this? The other time we were here, and Ojwang said one thing, that Raila Amolo Odinga has really fought for Kenyans, and we cannot put that aside.
Yeah.
But at this end times, he's now soiling his reputation. And the Machiavellian laws of power say that guard your reputation with all it takes. And the recent activity that he did in Kenya clearly shows that he's decided to leave his legacy and all the things that he fought at the doorsteps of UDA.
Right.
By being a sellout, by accepting some small handouts and some small positions in parliament, or rather in the government, just to appear to be with the government. He sold the largest political party, the second largest political party, at a wholesale price. And this clearly shows that
wholesale price. I like that.
This clearly shows that he's really ruining his reputation, and the Gen Zs will still occupy other presidential communications team because they can be reached.
Yeah.
We shall occupy their wives, social media accounts, and the presidents themselves, just to tell them not to vote for this person. And the best person to occupy is the wife, because if you influence the wife's decision, they can tell them, don't vote for this guy.
Okay, let me tell you how many wives and presidents you will have to occupy to go against Raila Odinga. Here on page 4 of the Standard, they're saying Kenya is going to leave no stone unturned in lobbying for that AUC position. Out of the 55 African countries, insiders say 7 are ineligible to vote owing to issues which are ranging from governance to military coups. But this means that 48 AU states are eligible. And so far, according to insiders, Kenya has the support of about 25 of them. 25 out of 48 means he stands a good chance to win it, if indeed these are, correct numbers. And we can see the kind of support he's getting. The image that is here is of the former Nigerian president, Olusegun Obasanjo, who's been actually with Raila Odinga for the longest now, for the past 2 years since William Ruto took power. Wamekuwa pamoja kutoka Mombasa to Nairobi trying to fix his issues. I wonder what is the intention of President Olusegun Obasanjo. What is he gaining from all this? But that's a story for
their friends. The same way I would push you for the seat. If you are vying, I will push you for the seat. It's the same thing.
We didn't see this friendship before.
No, it has been there. It has been imekuwa tu chini ya maji.
And I think Obasanjo has also been losing elections.
Yeah. They are, and they both support Arsenal.
It's a friendship of losing.
They know how losing elections are.
Losing election feels like. Yeah. Okay, so tunahitaji if anyone needs to occupy, they need to occupy about 25 heads of state. A question I had for Joang Mariam is that Fendo anasema due to this, as you always refer to, is the broad-based government, the broad-based government. campaigns to go to AUC, for example, last time when we were fronting Amina, it cost us around 400 million Kenyan shillings. So mimi ningepiga hesabu yangu ningesema kama kulikuwa na selling of parties and selling of whatnot, pesa ya campaign ilienda kuriziwa hapo. Definitely, yeah. Kama kuna mtu atanipinga kuja niambie.
So hakuna mtu kupinga.
Yes.
Hadi saa hizi pesa ziko za campaign na ni mingi sana.
Kabisa. So swali yangu hapa ni moja. Given we have concluded, indeed he has soiled his image at the very tail end. He's been a fighter for democracy. His political life is, littered with roses of him fighting for Kenyans. See, basi ni sawa at this point when he's become what is now being called a sellout to, offer him to the African Union and definitely get benefits.
In wholesale.
Wanasema, or from one of the, popular TV shows, the chaos is a ladder. In this chaos that we have here, it's time for us to climb the African Union ladder then. To say, if this is the best we have, badala tusumbue Kenya na broad-based government, and tulete developments kutoka African Union.
We can say that.
Yes.
Na hatuna shida na hiyo.
Tukona shida nayo kwa sababu
ngoja hatuna shida na kusema hivyo. Wacha tu nimalize.
Sawa.
Wacha niongee watu wa Meru kusema hivyo. And saizi bado wako huko. Koti ilisema ama mahakama ilisema kwamba whatever the Senate did ikule pause kiasi. So residents ndio huko wanasema wacha niongee.
Tutaingia Meru.
Back to AU. Back to AU. Why did we lose last time? Hata kama we used all that cash. We lost because we were fronting Ambassador Amina Mohamed. During her time, kuna some misses alimake zenye ni kubwa sana. She was at one time minister in charge of education. Akatoka hapo hivyo, I think alianza na hiyo foreign affairs, ndio. Akaingia education. Na despite her being an ambassador, so smart, bado alifail to a point. Aliambiwa, madam, uko na mchezo sana, ndio akapelekwa sports. What happened to sports? Alienda akaambia Nick Mwenda na FKF, nyinyi kaeni kando, na tukakuwa banned. Hiyo kitu ilitufanya tukue banned as a country. Sasa so saizi we have a man who, judging from a track record, can work, but amekuwa kiwaku wapi? When he was joining Moi in the government, kuna watu walipotelea, si ndio? So Raila aliingia kwa government, kukakuwa na PCS, but Mkenya wa kawaida bado hakufeel any effect. 2002 akaingia akasema Kibaki tosha. Sasa akakuwa hadi yeye minister wa roads. Let me tell you, kama kuna wakati roads zilitengenezwa hapa nchini Kenya was when Raila Amolo Odinga was minister hapo hivyo. Alikuwa ito engineer. Juzi ndio nimesikia kuhusu ati alienda TVET huko Germany.
Russia.
Unaona? But alideliver. Sawa. But Mkenya wa kawaida bado mwenye alikuwa anapigania hakumfeel. Toka hapo hivyo 2018 alienda kukakuwa na maandamano, na maandamano yote ya baba kuna kitu hayakosi in common. Chaos. Sawa. Stones. Sawa. Na bado akawatoka. Sawa. 2024 saa hii, hata usiende 2023 juu watu wanajua, saa hii when he is needed the most, amefanya the same thing. Ameenda kwanza, saizi amepeana mpaka chama chake. Chama kimekuwa movement since 2005. ODM has not been a party, it has been a movement. Amepeana movement kwa mtu amekuwa akiimba Ruto must go. You tell us you have no confidence in that president. He is not your president, na unampatia party ndo upewe kiti cha AUC.
So
it clearly means it's not about us.
So tunampunish by not supporting his bid.
Kupunish ni ile yenye uliona wa Kenya wakifanya 2022 that Uhuru ni mbaya.
Hapo ndio nasoma script.
Sasa
si script ni hiyo.
We will never do that again.
Okay.
We did that na wenye walifanya hivyo ni last age ya millennials who are us. You mean wa 1993. My generation ndo wanauza hii country. Sio kina Fendo. Gen Z hawa ni hawa dada zetu wadogo. Nampatia leo 500, kesho namuuliza unasemaje mambo ya loyalty. Anakuambia hey, wewe usinibebe hivyo. But sisi utanipea 500 ndakuimba hii wiki yote Okenye.
Okay.
So iko hivi. Wakenya wamechoka na hiyo. So leo they have launched a bid for Raila AU. Iko online. But there is another for oral treating kind of Sawa, wao wamelipa watu, lakini kuna wenye wajalipwa ndio wengi. Wenye wanasema hapana, nyinyi ni sawa, mnataka Raila ni sawa, nyinyi endeleeni. Tuone mabadiliko gani ataleta. Hii constitution anafaa kuwa anaipigania saizi, ni kuzeeka na zeeka. Hakuna shida ya kuluzi. Si leo hatujapee mwandishi wote wa gazeti winning headline. True. Heri uende nyumbani with your reputation ikiwa intact kuliko uende nyumbani ukiwa sell out.
Okay. My profile picture, just to add on what he said, my profile picture is of Nelson Mandela, and clearly anybody should see how Nelson Mandela conducted his businesses.
And his retirement.
Mandela just did he was jailed for 27 years for fighting apartheid regime and apartheid rule in South Africa. 27 years. Some of us have even not reached 27, and even some of who are 27, they've just passed 27 kidogo too, but somebody spent all those years in prison. So he came from prison to be the president, to remove the clerk. Immediately removed the clerk. He said now Africans, other South Africans could vie.
Yes.
Since that time to date, even right now, ANC has always been credited to Nelson Mandela, and anybody who has ANC wins it because of the dignity that Nelson Mandela had for that party and what he did. So when you see Nelson Mandela's documentary and read books on Nelson Mandela, then you compare it to Raila Amolo Odinga, you will see some similarities. But this last incidents that have happened, I know there are some small sounds in the background that Raila Amolo Odinga is a boardroom master on striking deals, political deals for some cash, you know. So these deals have now come at his onset when he's exiting the political field, has now been on the table. And I think Ruto has been playing chess and just told us that sasa vijana and the country, Ujama that you are saying is the best person, let me bring one of his troops here and give him the most lucrative part of this hen that we've slaughtered. They give them finance. You've seen what Mbadia said. He wants to return the 49 clauses that were rejected back to that bill. So clearly just telling us that these people that you're saying and praising, they're not the better option.
Yes.
And if you think that I'm lying, he's been a pragmatic leader. Let me give them this now position and see to it. I think it's changing.
So the thing is that at this point, it has been shown that clearly Raila Odinga and the people we are rejecting, such as, you know, the Kina Duale, who I have seen actually giving a congratulatory message and an encouraging message to Raila Odinga, calling him a statesman, and these are statements I've not seen before. So the thing is, we are concluding at this point that it has come to a realization at the very tail end of Raila Amolo's democratic journey, he's the same as the other people, as people in government, as people he fights against.
Actually, they're torn from the same cloth. They're just a piece of just torn from the same cloth, and no one is better, no one is, you know, anything like that.
So just to close the AUC part, because I want us to talk of education, given it's 9:18 in the morning, I want us to speak about children going back to school. Nauliza tu swali moja tukianza na Ojwang Mariam. Raila akishinda AUC uta-celebrate January?
It's February.
February, yes.
But ni akishinda lazima tuta celebrate. He's still one of us.
Okay.
He's our son.
Okay.
Yes.
He is our son, our father. Our father.
Kuambia tu tunaambia ukweli. He's our son.
Okay.
And then saizi tunasema hata usiseme Gen Z, sema 55% of Kenyan voters who will vote in 2027. They don't know that Raila. They read about him. Raila aliteswa Nyayo House. They read about that. It's the same Raila they are seeing. That is what matters the most.
Fendo?
Akishinda tuta celebrate.
I will not celebrate. That one is really to say that I will not celebrate anything, because I know this is some things that have just been cooked. Something that was sacrificed was much bigger than that seat that is going to accumulate. So he paid a heavy price just for a small position of that AUC. Because how many AUC chairmanship do we know and do we recognize?
Do we care about?
But we know about, you know, Thomas Sankara, what he did to his country. We know about Nelson Mandela, what he did to his country. We know about great leaders, what they have been doing to their country. So me, I will not celebrate.
Not the chairman of AUC.
Yeah, that's thing now, as you had said, that the broad-based government, I think that's when we'll be said the bread-based government. But it's just give us some slice of bread to swallow as he goes. So I will not celebrate. I don't think he'll have been swallowed and been played. Like we had told the people that in that position that he went to Kenyatta's government, he'd been sold. So there was nothing to celebrate.
Right. So man of the moment, or is he really? That's the question we have here. The Standard says he is the man of the moment. The longest standing campaigner in the Republic, President William Ruto, is hard on the campaigns, campaigning for Raila Odinga outside, campaigning for himself in the country, always in campaign mode. And we'll be following up on the launch today when it happens in State House, accompanied by other 5 heads of states from East Africa, and of course, I'm sure other dignitaries from all over Africa. Guys, tuongele education bana. The only way we can save this country now at this point is not AUC chairmanship, it's education. Anxiety as learners troop back to school. Who has the Daily Nation so that we see what the Helen is looking like there? Yeah.
Standoff. Niende. Standoff. Wanasema stand off. Hiyo hata ndo wameandika. Juu hadi kuna mahali wanasema nyinyi walimu tuendeni tuongee na TSC bado tukiwa tunafanya kazi. It's a third term. I was asking, mbona migomo ya walimu hukuwa third term? At a time when our children have been reading, revising, going through those papers for 4 years. Their last term in school, ndio walimu will decide kugoma. And before nikuambie kwa nini, a 5-hour-long meeting between union leaders representing post-primary school teachers and government officials yesterday failed to unlock a stalemate, signaling possibility of confusion deepening today when most secondary schools are scheduled to open. Yesterday, the first day of third term, some high school tutors stage protests across the country. Sasawa. Walimu wako barabarani, and this time round ni kubwa kuliko ile ingine. They started this kuppet as a way of killing teachers unions in this country. NAT was the only teachers union na ilikuwa ina cover walimu wote. Until today bado hadi leo NAT ina cover all the teachers. So ndio wakasema let us separate these teachers, divide and rule. Sasa but again we need to listen to these teachers kwa sababu tuna mess na watoto wetu, ni watoto wetu wanakuwa messed up. The private schools are still going on with this education. Other schools are not like Alliance. Ati students watakuwa governed na other students na wasome. Ndio maana unasikia kupe tu wakiambia wazazi, wewe peleka mtoto wako shule, lakini ujue security ya huyo mtoto juu sisi hatuko iko mikononi mwako. Sawa. We are living at a day and age when these youths wako na moto na joto, and they know so much from TikTok, from X. So wanakuja holiday wanajua hizi vitu zote, si ndio? Wapeleke shule when hakuna walimu, what will they do? I've said they are not Alliance because vitu kama hizi nataka nipeleke kama kwetu Kirogoya Boys. Kirogoya Boys must be the next Alliance. Mahali watoto wanaweza kaa chini na wanaelewa their core mandate hapa shuleni ni kusoma bila kupushiwa, whether kuna walimu ama hakuna. But the person who is failing these students is not the teachers. It's their employer and the employer of the employer. Kila mtu wa TSC ana fall under Ministry of Education. Na saizi Ministry of Education hata CSCS anaongea. We know it is the president hata ndio anaelezea mambo ya university funding model juu hawaelewi hao wengine wote. Hapo ndo kuna. The employer's employer is the problem. Ndio maana ana sing to his tune. You know the current CS is called Migos. Na Migos ni wale waimbaji wale waimbaji kutoka Marekani wa genre ya hip hop trap, yeah. So saizi is facing the music in the Ministry of Education, that CS Migos Ogembo, I believe. So now Fendo, yes, we have anxiety. It's third term. Students are going back to school. JSS teachers, actually, if Ojwang akiongea pale, nilikuwa naangalia hizo 10 demands za teachers. Now, part of them ni payment ya the JSS teachers. Mtu analipwa, I saw the breakdown, which will be about 30 bob a lesson. Nalipwa 30 bob a lesson. If you divide the amount of money, 17k, divided by the number of lessons they do in that 1 month, utakuwa nalipwa 30 bob. Lesson inakuwa like 2 hours or so. That is the
high school kuanga
40 minutes, right? So 40 minutes will make 30 bob.
Double lesson.
Na kuna double lessons, right? So
you need 60 bob.
You need 60. Make 60 bob ndo ufunze double math afternoon. Anxiety, it's third term. Kuna KCSE inakuja na KUPPET are on strike funding model, our Form 4s, same Form 4s who are waiting to see if they can be taught wafanye KCSE, wao ndo watapambana na the same funding model next year. Which way for education from where you look at
from where I'm looking at, the teachers have raised genuine concerns. The government also seemed to raise genuine concerns. And the concerns about matters to do with money. Sometimes we've seen the government overspending, sometimes not useful things. And some of the teachers have been crying even on local radio stations and TV stations that they have loans that they've taken and the employer is not remitting some of these loans. I know the serious headache that can stress somebody is the loan. Imagine being in class teaching and you're being told your land is being auctioned because you had some loan. Not that you are unable to pay, but your money is not being remitted to that other sector. Another thing, going forward, I also now want to blame the teachers on these issues of strike.
Really?
Yeah, because, day in, day out, since I was in class 2, I've been hearing teachers complain and going to strike and demonstration. And even we don't even need prediction. Next year, teachers will again go for strike and demonstration. So, as we were just talking here before we got to go live, teachers just need to do one demonstration once and for all and materialize. Teachers have that culture of being, tolerant, and all those things. Go back to class, we will remit, and they go. I have a lot of teachers on my contact list and I've not seen them raising these issues, complaining, sometimes doing those, even the maandamano. Like they have wametulia sana, unaona. Hadi msana sema ukitaka a good wife, look for a teacher.
Kwa sababu ametulia.
Hawana maneno, you can just tramp over her. But if you meet journalists, nikelele, nduru, crippling, lawyers is the same. So hawa walimu wanafaa kupiga tu maandamano moja safi. Go for demonstrations, put off your phones for 1 week, don't be anywhere near schools, like something that will hold this government hostage. When KCSE will just be almost near, don't go to school, don't pick phones, put everything, all teachers' phones should be off and change mobile numbers until their collective agreements are met.
Yes.
Once and for all, so that even for 10 years we don't listen. Another thing, every one of us, even the president, the prime minister, the president of US, everyone passed through a teacher. And at one point in class, or along those classes, a teacher always says that uweze utakapo tajirika ununue gari usinipite. Hiyo statement lazima mtu amaisikia mali. Ukipata gari usinipite.
Usinimwagilie yale
maji chafu. Ama nikiwa kwa ofisi usifanye niandike appointment letter pale kukuona pale, unaona. Lakini sasa wale wanasiasa wanapopata vile viti hawezi kukumbuka kwamba maneno kama haya, fika pale, prioritize teachers. And it's also high time that teachers also become political, so that their political stand and political text can also influence how the voting pattern goes, so that they are also respected. As we've always said, the governments and more so the presidents always look where numbers are. If teachers prove that they can also be politically significant in the voting pattern and decide to tell all their members to vote against the government, then the government will prioritize them. Because I've really observed William Ruto is really a listening president sometimes, and when he's pressurized and he knows he's going to lose a significant number, he'll tend to hear.
He listens only where his numbers are going to hurt
the most. And if he goes to those meetings with those teachers, let them not go there to start petty arguments. They need to be stand up straight and tell him we need this and this and this. Failure to which teachers will not vote for that. We will vote against this.
I mean, if religious leaders have been able to secure that kind of space on the table because they have a political faction to bring to the table as well, it's good that teachers will do the same, right?
Yeah, if you compare the interests of teachers and religious leaders, teachers are now being taken as some side chick, some form of side chick. Right now, if the church says that they want all churches to be with something
innovated or something,
they dish out money to churches. Sudi goes to dish out money to churches. Murkomen the same. The first lady the same to churches because they have numbers and they have proved we can tell our members not to do this. Teachers should also do that. That should this not happen, all the Form 4s will going to manipulate and even change the simple syllabus by design. These people not to support the government. Because something needs to be done.
Asante sana Fendo. Ojwang, unfortunately that's the time that we have today. So I'm just going to end kupatia chance yenye ni 1 minute upane submission alafu nirudishe kwa Fendo pia yafunge. So 1 minute each because we have a conversation that is coming up and pia wewe ningetaka ukue hapa usikize.
Tunakuwa saa hizi tuko united as a country na tuko united na mashida. Hatuko united na pesa. Sawa. Hatuko united na good governance. Tuko united na mashida. And I want to tell Nairobi youths, kama hamtajipanga kwa sasa, mtaumia sana. kwa sababu vijana huwa tunaseparatiwa na siasa always. Mnapigana hapa hivi 2022, kutoka 2022 2027 mnafanya nini? Is it siasa always? So vijana wanafaa kuungana, na hiyo ndo message yenye kutoka juu kwa wazee wetu. Utapata mpaka hao wazee wetu wameanza kupata hii message. There is no community event in Roysambu or involving Roysambu that you will not see Honorable Michael Mafaka. He is the director Keproba. But tutamuona pale as a public servant afai kuwa hapo. But tutasikia leo amesupport Gas Githurai All Stars kwenda Division 1. Juzi sisi kama vijana wa Roysambu tumeamua tutoke online WhatsApp. Tumetengeneza mpaka pool tournament. Tumeenda huko tukaenjoy. Na hizo pesa zote zenye tulipata tutaingia kwa community tutengeneze. Umeshika? Soweto Youth Initiative wametengeneza Mr. and Miss Soweto. Tutaingia hapo hivyo kavi. Vijana tuacheni siasa saa hizi. Tuunganeni tufanye vitu. Otherwise 2027 tutapata hapa hivi
kama bado hatujajipanga.
Kama hatujajipanga ni vijana tuungane tufanye kazi.
Sawa.
Message kubwa. Tumeona Rigathi Roysambu ameanza kukuja. He is the DP, si ndio? Kwa nini? Juu ameanza kuona kitu Roysambu. Kuna numbers kule. Lakini vijana wasipoungana, watatu pekee ndo watafaidika, au wengine wote
wataachiliwa huko kama walimu na Sosion.
So waungane.
Haya, Fendo.
Yes.
Please close it up if there's something we've left as well. We've got 1 minute for that.
Thank you very much. I've come to this morning to KU TV students. I've passed at the gate. I've seen a lot of students are being admitted. And I took the initiative just to walk around, just asking them about the university funding model. And even without asking them, I could hear some of the students saying that if inayo ni mingi, unajua. So when I heard that, I got interest now to just talk to some of them. And this fee issue is really a serious issue that really need to be relooked at. And it's nothing big with just listening to these people and even sometimes adopting the suggestions that the CJ made. Do away with all bursaries and everything and just make education affordable to all. But I'd like now to wind up with the story that is coming out at page 3 of the Standard, that there is a serious evidence trial, the line between rape and consent. And I've read this story, and if anybody can be able to access the Standard, can read the story on page 2, that is for 27th August 2024, which says there is a story. I've really read it in and between the lines. There is this lady who invited a guy to his house just for a dinner. This guy was a class 6 friend, you know. So he invited this boy to go to the house, and this boy went there. She cooked rice there. There's some wine. The lady claimed, according to the story here, that the boy kept on looking at the glass of wine. So he decided to serve him with the wine. So it was during COVID time. So the lady decided that they will have to, you know, the lady said that it's night. You cannot go, so you'll have to spend a night here. And unfortunately, when he spent the night there, something happened. One thing led to the other, and something happened. And from this story, the lady went and called other members that this guy had raped her, so to say, and they locked the guy and went to call the police. However, I sense some discrepancy there that this boy managed to go. I don't know how. So the case was been at the courts, and they were saying that the lady was accusing this guy that you raped me. The guy was saying it was consensual. So the case lagged on the courts. Now the verdict from Justice Mugambi said that the man was acquitted, that nothing happened, you know.
That was consensual.
That it was consensual, and these were some of the stories that were just cooked up by the lady. But this is a serious lesson to men and ladies. You know, right now you can go to a club, drink some alcohol. The lady you meet with some good girlfriend there, you know, she drives you to the to her place. The following morning she goes to the police station, says that you raped her and you are taken, and you will pass through a lot of issues. So it's high time that we really know that how we conducting ourselves, how to kuomba hii mavitu. There is a time Uhuru Kenyatta said that hii vitu ukiomba pole pole utapatiwa. So it's high time that, and if possible we can also incorporate it in the school curriculum, how to approach a girl, because you will spend a lot of time looking for a wife, some relationship. No, these are serious issues that you need to know.
That's
so we also need to have marriage and being tolerant with some partners, not just learning chemistry, physics, and mathematics and all those subjects, and leaving out these important social issues such as marriage. And we find a lot of people are being left ignorant on that field. So yote 9-10 najaribu kusema tu ni tujichunge. Sometimes pia kama inawezekana fuata lessons za Americs pale pia, avoid going to a lady's house sometimes if this guy na mimi pia nimekatazanga watu sana kwa status. If this guy could not could be following my status views and America's teaching. Angejipata kwa hii shida.
All right. Asante sana Pendo for that, and also Jang Mariam for creating time. It's 9:35 a.m. I'm going for a short break alafu nirudi. But maybe just to close it up on that note of rape and consent. To those who are violating the Constitution of Kenya, there's no thin line between rape and consent. Just follow the Constitution. Stop assaulting us. Going for a short break. Biashara Tuesday will be back. The conversation that is coming up that you don't want to miss out on is on a Guinness World Record. Umoi choma nyama for the longest, right? So this is what Njeri is doing. Anataka kuchoma 7 nights and 7 days. How are you going to participate? Na atakuwa kwa Guinness World Record. Wewe uko na Guinness World Record ya nini? Maybe hata ile ya kupiga ile sauti ile armpits. Tafuta. We'll be right back.
I'm Associate Professor in the Institute of Philosophy of Jagiellonian University in Krakow, Poland, and I'm the main coordinator of the Cafe project, which is being here hosted by Kenyatta University.
My name is Eva Hudoba. I am a project manager in this consortium. Keep watching cutting-edge research at Kenyatta University Television.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Tunachimba hadi mizizi kukuletea yanayojiri.
So mimi naomba tu serikali yetu ya Mungu ibarikiwe na Mungu iweze kuteremsha bei ya mafuta
Yanayokukumba tuna maizi, tunakutetea sisiri. Ukweli ni speciali tukikupambia makala ya mwanamke mwake. Utasema hupendi mizizi ya habari. Nami Caroline Kimwele.
Ni kaunti maarufu kwa kuzalisha maziwa na ukuzaji wa majani chai. Pia serikali ya kaunti inawahimiza wakulima kukumbatia mitindo mingine ya kilimo kuzidisha mapato.
Kama kuna kikundi moja inafanya biashara ya kuuza kuku, hao pia tumewafadhili kuwafunza jinsi ya kuhandle zile kuku kwa sababu wanaleta kwa wingi.
Haya yote tunakuletea katika Boresha Kilimo, toleo la kaunti ya Bomet.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa.
Is your first time?
Yeah, I'm kind of scared, but I can do this. Mess with me. Yeah, let's do this, man.
Hello, I'm Christos Lugiakis. I'm a PhD student at the University of Athens, Greece, and this is Cutting Edge Research from the Kenyatta University TV. Keep watching on the Kenyatta University TV. This is Cutting Edge Research.
Engine, where we ask the coolest questions in science. Let's go! Is yogurt really just rotten milk? Why do humans need sharks to survive? How did a 12-year-old boy from Africa invent modern vanilla farming? How do you deliver medicine to a chimpanzee? Can poop be useful? How can you save the planet by reducing air pollution? To help us answer these questions, we are inviting some wonderful guests from the world of science. They will enlighten you, make you hungry for knowledge, oxygenate your brain, and make your ideas flow. This is Engine Season 3. Let's go!
Fellow Kenyan, I am excited to announce that I have been given the green light by the Guinness World Record to attempt to break the Guinness World Record for the longest barbecue marathon by an individual. I will be barbecuing for 7 days and 7 nights to break the existing 80-hour record. Nyama choma is our thing, and it's time to bring the record home where it belongs. The event will be a fun-filled event where I will not only be attempting to break the world record, but I will be raising money for domestic and sexual violence shelter for women in Kenya. So come have fun for a greater cause. I will be documenting the journey leading to the event on my YouTube channel, so kindly subscribe to not only be updated, but also as a way of supporting this great mission. The dates and the location of the event will be communicated on my social media pages, so please follow for updates.
Right. Choma na Njeri, lazima tuchome ikifika hiyo wakati. Atuambia ni lini hiyo kazi inafanyika, but she's on set with me. I'm going to allow her to do her introduction, and then we get to discuss a few things, cooking, Guinness World Record, and how you can show up as well. Njeri.
Yes.
Welcome to KUTV. Welcome to Biashara Tuesday.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Please introduce yourself to our audience, alafu tuanze kuzungumza mambo zaidi.
Okay. My name is Njeri Mbugwa, and I am a professional journalist, although I've not been practicing, and I am a graphic designer. I'm also a business person. I'm a very serial entrepreneur. I love doing business, and I'm also a self-taught chef.
All right.
Yeah.
Serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we like here, especially the ones who feed us immediately after business. We are glad to have both of that with you here. Yeah. So Njeri, let's talk about the Guinness World Record in a few, but begin with you being a self-taught chef.
Okay.
As you said, is this how did this passion come around?
So the passion came about when I had my baby immediately, because before having a baby I was traveling, I was working and eating out all the time. I barely knew how to cook. I didn't even think that there would come a time I would even know how to cook. Yeah, I was just nilikuwa tu nishakubali mimi I'm not material. Material hapana, it's not
material kupewa.
Nilikuwa nishakubali, but when I had my baby, taking care of the baby, I'm indoors and I want to eat what I was eating. Yeah, so I had to figure out. So I started watching videos, I started practicing, and really fast I realized that it's something that it's embedded in me. Sijui kama ni venye mimi I'm a foodie, ama it's because I don't know.
It was just something that was there that you didn't know.
Yeah, it just flowed naturally, and it did not take so long to learn recipes. Like the maximum number of times that I've tried something out is 2. The second one, it got perfect.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How are your initial stages of trying to be a chef like? Because I know when I tried to teach myself how to cook, hizo ugali za kwanza zilikuwa tu ujimeenda private school.
Yeah.
Alafu ikamachua kidogo if it's the vegetables, how to cook that. It was a mess for a really long time. How was that like for you in the initial stages?
I will say it went really well. Unajua pia mimi ni Mkikuyu, sitaki tena kuwaste pesa ya ingredients. So lazima ukue so keen and follow the steps that zimeandikwa huko ama the video.
Umesema wewe ni Mkikuyu, kathufu pale. Sufu kwa kila kitu.
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're like training or following the steps of good chefs, like unaona the processes and everything, and now you can adjust them. As in ukiendelea kupika unajua like spices inaingana nayo, so unaenda ukicustomize like the meals according to how you like them.
All right, so the shift from it being a necessity because you now have a child and you need to feed them and you need to feed yourself to now being a professional at this world of cooking, how was that and how did it happen?
Like the thing is, you see the way people see you on the outside and it's not the way you see yourself on the inside. Or people think that you're like on another level and you're just trying out. So what happened is that I used to cook for family and friends, and when I specialize na kitu nikishaiva cooking something and then I cook for them and then they're like, "Ooh, this is so nice." So you know nigasa pia.
How Kenyans compliment.
Yeah, I can poa family functions wewe uoshi matumbo huko kwa kitchen. Yeah, uko tu uko unapewa
special service.
Yeah, unapika and you know directing tufanye nini. So like I had to own it, like okay, this is actually not something like a kawaida thing that I know. I've taught myself so much. Yeah,
it's not something everybody knows.
Yeah, so the trust that people had in me, like ilifanya tu niendelee ku elevate my skills and teach myself more.
All right, what's your favorite thing to cook?
I would say meatballs.
Okay.
It's easy. It's easy to cook, quick. It's a quick meal, and it's just a lot of flavors in one dish because the meatballs, umeka spices kando, and the gravy also has flavors, so it's just nice.
Najua sijakula breakfast. It's going to be a tough conversation talking food. Yeah? Okay. So some gravy on the side. And you told me earlier pasta. You like to have that with pasta.
Yeah.
Okay. Pasta meatballs. That's your favorite to cook and to eat at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. Pasta si yule wa church yenu huko. Usiende kumpelekea meatballs. Kule pasta na meatballs. Right. But cooking that and then now you're doing longest barbecue. Is barbecuing your favorite act of cooking?
Meat is my favorite. Is also a favorite thing.
Oh, as long as there's meat there.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you choose barbecuing?
Like, you see the way you have a lot of things. I don't want to say children, but even if you have businesses, there's that one favorite thing to do. So grilling was a favorite to do. Either grilling using an air fryer, an oven, aman kendo shago, grilling using the jiko. So it was something that it was always like close to my heart. Ni kama subjects. You have a favorite subject, but there's that. So grilling was like the best grilling meats.
Right. Traditionally men ndo wanakonga wameachwa hapo kwa barbecue. Walikuwa kubalia huko nyumbani wanaona una flip meat on the grill.
Yeah, na wasaidia kuweka spices because yao ni ile ya chumvi na
chumvi na ndimu na kugeuza tu.
Yeah, so nawekea to spices and then maybe nawasaidia kuweka kwa direct heat na indirect heat. Yeah.
Nice. So now you want to do it for a Guinness World Record.
Yes.
Right. Let us know kwanza, what does it mean to have a Guinness World Record in that, and what Guinness World Record are we going for?
So I'm attempting to break the Guinness World Record title for the longest barbecue marathon by an individual, and what that means is that I will be the person who will have barbecued for the longest time in the world, like in the entire world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Currently, the record is at 80 hours.
Yeah, 80 hours.
Okay, you're only less than 7 days.
Yeah.
And 7 nights. So you're doing it for 7 days and 7 nights.
Yeah, over 150 hours.
Over 150 hours. unalala. That's the question I have heard and people have out there. Unalala, unafanyaje? What happens? Unajiekelea, unapika, uko na watu, uko na pace setters kama Kipchoge.
Okay, so kwa grill, mimi nitakuwa kwa grill peke yangu, but nitakuwa na people helping me on the side. Maybe watu wananisaidia with the marination, maybe washing the dishes, serving the food and all that. But also kulala unapata 5 minutes break for every 1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can accumulate that. Maybe uchome nyama 6 hours and you take a 30-minute nap.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, that's the plan. 6 hours.
Utakuwa unachoma nyama 6 hours.
30 minutes.
30 minutes can nap. Mimi utaniamsha after 4 days. Kwenda huko na record yako. Nataka kula.
Change mind.
All right. So this is going to happen likely in October.
Yes.
Okay. Tell people what will be happening in those 7 days in terms of are they showing up? There are other activities happening and also watakula. Hiyo ni swali kubwa sana.
Okay, so the plan is to have a fun-filled event. That means kuna activities, there are games, there are giveaways, there are prizes, kuna sing-alongs. People can showcase their talents, you know, watu wenye, the local talents can come in, watuimbie, kina Steve Simple Boy and the likes. Ama anyone who would love to like show up and show us the talent. And also hiyo nyama, one of the guidelines inasema that hiyo nyama yenye inapikwa, it must be consumed by the people around. So nyama inapikwa. Nice. So nyama inapikwa alafu it's distributed to like the people who will be there supporting me, and also some of it itaenda kwa the less fortunate. We're going to donate some of it to the less fortunate. And also during the challenge, I would love to highlight that I am going to be raising money which will go into building a domestic and sexual violence shelters for victims in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I was reminded by my producer Ryan Gure that that ties in very well with the discussion we were having in the newspaper about consent, rape and consent. It's important that you're also raising money towards the victims of such gray areas in our society. So it's the Njeri Mbugua Chomathon. Na umesema watu watakuwa invited, kutakuwa na activities, performances, na kutakuwa na kukula nyama. I think Guinness should create a new category because there's going to be a record for the longest marathon of eating choma by an individual.
Seriously.
I'll be there for 7 days and 7 nights to ensure kwamba pia mimi niko na marathon yangu tu ya kukula ni set record. Kama wako nayo waniongezea hapo. So we'll give you the details on the dates, of course, which are yet to be confirmed. You have the date set?
The initial dates were from 31st of August to 6th of September, but now we had to push it mbele kidogo to 14th to 20th of October.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, 14th to the 20th of October. You can bet that we'll be here to give you that information on subsequent shows on Biashara Tuesday. Njeri, you want this to be an annual thing?
Yes.
Yeah? So do you mean you want to break a record every year, or what is your plan with the Njeri Mbugua Chomathon, as you are christening it?
So after breaking the attempt, we intend to have kama anniversaries parties, but we'll just be celebrating how we broke the event, because I'm sure when we break that event, it's going to take 20 years.
Oh, you're that confident.
Yes,
I like it.
For someone else to break it, because the last record was broken 10 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
So like over 150 hours. So even if someone breaks it, we're still going to celebrate it, because nyama choma is our thing as Kenyans. Yeah, so people are going to come, meet, and eat nyama choma and all that, and have fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Meet and meet.
Yeah.
M-E-E and then M-E-A as well, yeah?
Yeah.
Meet and greet and meet at the same time. So it's going to be an annual thing. If you can show up in October, please make sure you do. What will this mean for the nation at large? Kenya, kuna pride in this, and also for yourself. What will this mean on a personal level?
Okay, so first of all, I said I'm a content creator, so that means it's my brand will be out there and what I do and my businesses. And also it means that the world gets to know that Kenya is the hub of nyama choma. Hiyo na tusipiganie please. Tusisumbuane please.
Hadi tuko na record sasa at that point.
Sasa iko home, yeah. So yeah, I'm also hoping that people in the world are going to travel to Kenya and come and taste our nyama choma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this an open invite by the way? Ama utakuwa unauza tickets?
It's an open invite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely. So uta show up, and then the location was
Sacred Gardens
in Kiambu Road. Along Kiambu Road, right?
Yes, along Kiambu Road.
All right. So we'll give you more information on the subsequent shows of Biashara Tuesday, but that is Njeri Mbugwa. She is a chef, a journalist, a graphic designer, content creator. Check out her TikTok as well so that you can see what she's building up towards the event itself. And also here on Biashara Tuesday, we'll definitely have to be participating and taking pride in the breaking of this record. Alafu sisi tutakula siku 7 na siku na tutakuwa na record yetu tuna mesha tu hapo kando. So why don't you show up and see that there's much more to do. No human is indeed limited. Njeri, maybe upende statement ya mwisho kuhusu watu wanapika huko nje. Actually we have a growing community of creators who are cooking, who are showcasing their work, and maybe who would want to achieve such kind of feats, maybe not Guinness World Record, but maybe in other ways, wafanya wa feel fiti, na kwa sababu uko sure uta break the record pia mention here part.
Okay, so I'm speaking this as a potential record holder. So I would love to encourage everyone out there. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're cooking, whether you are teaching yourself a skill online. Uendelea tu, siku moja itajipa. Just continue being consistent and continue doing it with passion and with love, and one day it's going to pay off. And also I want to see you guys make time between the 7 days. Just create time, ukuje and ujibambe, and also give me the moral support, which will be highly appreciated. And as we bring this home and as we do it for a greater cause, that is building a mega and a major safe house for women or survivors and victims in Kenya.
All right. Thank you very much, Njeri Mbugwa. We hope to have more discussions even just before the day. Tuta have another interview here, alafu tujue umekuwa psyched aje na watu watakuwa wana expect nini. Asante. So it's 9:57 in the morning. Thank you for everyone who has been able to tune into this amazing edition of Biashara Tuesday. It's been a special one from when we started talking to Michael from the New South Institute in South Africa, and then had a discussion on the newspaper review with Ojwang Mariam and Fendo, and then now just concluded it with a discussion on food and the Guinness World Record that Njeri Mbugwa is looking to break when it comes to October, the longest barbecue marathon by an individual ever. Currently holder iko at 80 hours na yeye anataka kupiga more than 150 hours. Something to think about in your week. Challenge yourself. In what ways can you improve and break records? Think about it, and we'll interact more here on this show. This is KUTV Kenya, a new experience on social platforms. We are at KUTV Kenya. This has been Biashara Tuesday with myself, Richard OKENYE, on social media at Richard_OKENYE. Before I give you my closing statement, where should you invest? Maybe you should invest in ABSA, because just recently they declared that into the half year of 2024, just to date, they've made a staggering profit of 10 billion Kenyan shillings. You can imagine what the shareholders who are reaping from the dividends are feeling like. So those are the places you can place in your few coins. And remember, currently 1 shilling going for $1 is going for 128 Kenyan shillings. So we are doing well. We are stabilizing. That's part of the reason why ABSA is making profits. In their statements, they did mention the stabilization of the Kenyan shilling. Bitcoin, hapa hivi naangalia imedrop. Utapata Bitcoin moja na mita 8. If you have 8 million, enda ushike ka Bitcoin. Ilikuwa at 10 million just the other day. So kuna time ya kuget Bitcoin. Asante sana for tuning in. May your week be filled with profits, but also may it be filled with laughter, so that you can laugh all the way to the bank. I'll see you around.
Yes, we have to flip it.
twende biashara boss. Okay,